Abbey Dental, sponsors of Late Lunch for all aspects of today's dental care. Highly recommended throughout the Isle of Man.
Hello and welcome to the Late Lunch Leftovers podcast, where we take a look back at the past week and go over some of our highlights. And we were joined by Donna from Paracise once again. She introduced us to another exercise that she starts every class with. We had a go ourselves. The video is online. It's been seen thousands of times and you can still access that now. We heard also from 4 generations of the same family in a wonderful, relatively speaking episode. And this was centred around the centenarian Jessie Fayle. Fantastic discussion.
We also heard from Dr. Brisha Madrell from Culture Van, and she told us why folklorist and author Sophia Morrison was so important to the island and how the 160th anniversary of her birth would be celebrated. But we start with the end of Tuesday's show, where we were live at the allotment once more with Tanya from Lovely Greens. And in our podcast, we planted beans at the allotment.
Hello and welcome to the Late Lunch podcast, live from the allotment.
I think you're quite obsessed with puns, Beth.
Am I? Do you think?
But they make me smile, so never change.
Oh, thank you so much.
Speaking of change, this month, Tanya Anderson, is a particularly busy one at the allotment, isn't it?
It is. So the last time you visited, it was April. Things were just starting to grow. We were getting a lot of rain at the time, but not as much sunshine. Now, that combination of rain and sunshine means everything is exploding. Weeds, everything, but veg as well. So the potatoes we were just discussing, the last time you were here, they were just tiny little things sprouting out of the ground. And now they're coming up out of their second layer of manure, and they're going to be ready to harvest, or at least some of them, at the end of next month.
Now, you were just saying something before we came on air really interesting, and that's the fact that gardening really is about trying things, about seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and you say you still make loads of mistakes, and we wouldn't know looking at your plot here.
It's a learning experience. It's not a destination. You don't become a gardener and know everything. There's all plants, new techniques, even simple things that people take for granted. So there should be no fear in gardening. You should just do it and expect to make mistakes, but also to learn from them.
Can you show us then how to plant something this month?
Yes, so I've got some beans here. I've got some elephant garlic that needs to go out, some alpine strawberries, but I think we should start with the beans.
Okay, so what kind of beans are they?
So these are a French bean, and these are ones that I've actually purchased. I've got French beans, so Cobra, that I've grown from seed. They're going at home. But I was at a garden center and I saw these and I thought, let's give them a go, because I've never grown these when they've been so many in one pot and they just look so healthy. I've had them growing on in the greenhouse at home. And I love French beans. You have to be careful with the type of bean that you buy. If you're into runner beans and eating runner beans, then go for it. But if you're not, don't grow them, because they do produce a lot, and the distinction between the two varieties is subtle sometimes when you're buying plants that are already grown. So we're going to plant these here at this wigwam, or actually you guys are going to plant them.
Oh, looking forward to that. Holly is with us this afternoon. Holly, you learned about beans at school. Can you remember what you did for French beans?
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la.
For the French beans.
And they did running for the running beans, you see?
Very good.
It's too much. Okay, so we've got our wigwam.
Yeah, we've got the wigwam. So, this is just bamboo canes, is it?
Bamboo canes stuck in the ground, tied with some string at the top. That's all you need. You can do it much taller. These will grow and grow and grow if you don't pinch out the growing tops. So you could have it much taller. There are other structures as well that you can grow these on. But up here at the allotment, it's very exposed. There's a lot of wind. So wigwams is definitely the way to go for these and sweet peas and things like that. They're just a bit more sturdy. And what we'll do is we're going to plant just a pot of these beans at the base of one of those canes, lightly tie them in, and then we're going to protect it with some fleece so that the bunnies don't get at it, and then let them grow.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Lucy Chapman, welcome to the allotment.
Thank you. I enjoyed the dancing.
Did you? You're the only one. We should say we are live on Manx Radio's Facebook page now, so they had the delight of seeing that as well. Lucy, where are you from? Remind us.
I'm from the community gardening group GRIN.
And what is that community group all about?
We're currently based down at Arbury School. So we have a plot down at Arbury School. We help to enhance the school's garden, and we get little ones, 0 to 4-year-olds, along with their parents and carers to enjoy the garden with us, learn some new skills off our volunteers who come along and get involved with the school as well.
And it's been going for, what, about a year or so now?
We've had our first birthday.
How wonderful. And you've brought somebody with you. Who's that?
So this is Natasha, and Natasha is she's one of our volunteers, but also has children that sometimes come along. Natasha knows a lot more about gardening than I do, so it's a bit of a blessing to GRIN.
So when did you first get involved in gardening, Natasha?
I've got 2 young children now, so I started going last April, and then I've kind of got more involved as the garden's progressed, and just helping create more sensory plants around, and it's really supporting the children to be there.
And I suppose it's a great thing to get kids involved in from an early age, because it just becomes something that they're so used to and able to do.
Yeah, I think it's really important at a young age to just get them caring about the environment, and it just, it keeps expanding as they grow up.
And what are some of you mentioned sensory sort of plants, what are some good things to get kids introduced to in the garden to start with?
Peas is a great one, strawberries, just learning that they can pick things and put them straight in their mouth, and amazing tastes, and that's great to get them started.
And Tanya, I know that there are plans potentially afoot to maybe get some children and other people in the community involved in gardening here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people who are interested in gardening are aware that this week is the Chelsea Flower Show. And one of the big gardens there that was introduced is one by the, co-designed by the Duchess of Cambridge. And it's the Back to Nature garden, and it's all about getting kids back in the garden and having that sensory experience, etc. Now here at the allotment, you can look out over the field, and we have quite a few plots that are vacant. So ones that are covered in plastic. This one just down below mine is also vacant. And so we were having a think about this recently and wanted to maybe start up our own GRIN project. And that's why I've invited Lucy to come on board to give us some advice on how to approach a school or a group that has children and give them space to garden.
So what would you say to that, Lucy?
So you already have great gardening knowledge, which is more than I had when I started off, so that's a really good place to start. I think the next thing that you need is relationships. So for us, we've got a really great relationship with Mr. Ayres, the headmaster at Albury School, and he put his trust in us to manage just one small bed to start with in his community garden up at the top of the school grounds. So we started out small. I think that's really important. And over time have developed and started supporting the garden a little bit more for them. So I think when approaching a school, it's about, teachers are just so busy, and I think we're all in agreement that we want to get our kids out into nature, but we can't just keep loading more and more new initiatives onto teachers. We need to be offering a service and doing that well. So I think if you can present something a little bit ready-made and managed, that's a really good place to start.
So perhaps maybe allotment plot holders here might be interested and be able to give their gardening experience to the younger generation. So maybe that's something that we could work on. Now, you mentioned that you've got some kids at Arbury School. How many kids are involved in the GRIN project right now?
So the school have their own garden club who go up to the garden once a week, and I think there's about 10 of them in our group. So we focus on the 0 to 4-year-olds, and we've got probably about 10 people who come regularly. Sometimes it's really busy. I don't ask for a commitment from people. I know what it's like being a parent to really young children. It's quite nice just to be able to drop in and out of somewhere. So at the moment it's not something that people have to commit to. But yeah, a good core group of about 10 people in the summer. The weather obviously really helps, and we've had some really exciting developments with work that's been going on in the garden, which is encouraging more people to come along.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
the video is going to be available on the Manx Radio Facebook page. But Donna, can you just give us a very brief overview of the sort of exercises we were doing there?
Yeah, so the first move was the balloon. The purpose of that was to open the chest muscles. If we spend a lot of time seated, be it at home, if we're driving, if we're maybe sitting at a desk, the shoulders can come forward, which can cause tightening of the chest muscles. So what we were doing in the balloon was opening the chest and encouraging us to stand tall. Then we came into sun up, which was stretching the shoulders, the front of the body. We then moved to the side, so we were stretching laterally through the waist. And then the final move was the windmill, which is warming up through your spine.
And I don't know about you, Beth, but since I've sat down, I am sitting with a better posture because automatically I feel like everything's sort of settled in that correct position.
And it is really, really easy to follow, isn't it? You kind of, and I think that's what sometimes puts people off going to exercise classes, because you think if you are a late joiner perhaps and everybody else has been doing it for weeks, you think, I'll never be able to catch up and learn the routine. So you've got a great way of just bringing people along with you there.
Yeah, and we would keep the tracks the same for a period of weeks so that people can learn them and get to grips with them, and then gradually we'll add something new in to challenge people in a different way. So they've got to get their brains working to learn new routines. But we do keep the familiar tracks in, which works well.
Mike, how did you find that?
I don't know how I looked, but I enjoyed it.
Well, you'll be able to go to the Manx Radio Facebook page, as I say, and watch how you look later.
Balletic. I'm going to say balletic, Mike.
Donna, thank you so much for being with us. Any events coming up? Any classes that people can go along to in the next couple of days?
Yeah, so we've got our class tomorrow morning. I'm just thinking what day it is now. It's Wednesday. We've got tomorrow morning. We're at Carrefour at 10:45, and on Friday we're at West Coast Fitness in Peel at 11 a.m. We've got classes running through practice week, and then we're having a week off for TT, and then we restart our usual schedule after that.
Wonderful. And you can find Donna on Facebook page, and as ever we will post a link on the Late Lunch blog.
And if anyone's interested in trying it, can they literally just turn up tomorrow?
Yeah, people can just turn up free of charge for their first class. There's no need to book, because sometimes that can be an additional pressure. So we just say to people, turn up if they can make it on the day, ideally about 10 minutes beforehand, so I can do a health questionnaire.
And what should people wear?
Anything they feel comfortable in, really. People wear all manner of things to Paracise classes.
Intriguing.
Yeah. Some people feel comfortable in like relaxed fit jeans, and they would wear that. Other people wear kind of like leggings or joggers, whatever you can kind of move in. Footwear is probably more important, something that's not going to be slippy. So either like a trainer or pump, something like that.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
My mum, Judith Scott, and her mum, Mrs. Jessie Fayle, and then we've got my two children, Greya and Darren, who are 7 and 9.
What invention helped you the most in your life?
Inventions. Washing machine. I used to turn a big mangle and have a big galvanised tub to do the washing.
Well, I have good news. She can have the new way to wash, and so can you, with the brand new Westinghouse Laundromat 25.
And a hoover or cleaning machine, you could call it a machine, sweeping up.
Dad always said he thought the best invention in his lifetime was the boiler, an oil-fired boiler, didn't he? Because before that, he said everyone had to wake up in the morning and light a fire to get the water hot, to get the house hot. So he thought that in his lifetime, the best invention had been an oil-fired boiler in your house.
I can remember Mum getting up to light the fire for us on the cold mornings.
Oh yes, yeah. Central heating wasn't about.
No.
Yes, well, even when I was little, the fire had to be lit to cook breakfast.
Yeah.
So you were early risers. You got up early and you went to bed fairly early. There were several inventions. Every time I look round, there's something new.
The very thought of you, and I forget to do.
Did you have a bicycle, Gran, or did you just walk everywhere?
We walked everywhere, and then when I was about 12, I suppose, we weren't of the family sort of had bikes and whatnot. We walked everywhere. And then this lady was leaving the island and she gave us this bike. And so we shared it, my sister and I. She rode the bike. Rebecca, we called it.
Good name for a bike. my bike was called Hercules. I've never named a bike. Have you two? Do your bikes have names?
I called mine Amy.
Amy?
The winning bike. I've called my balance bike Lily.
Erin had a question, didn't you, about school and teachers?
What was your best teacher?
Well, I suppose a man called Mr. Corlett, who turned out to be my husband's cousin. But he was an artist, and I wasn't. And he used to help me a lot. I remember him sitting, drawing a vase for me because I couldn't get the curves right. So I think he was the favourite.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
She was an author, a writer, an educator. She's a cultural activist. She's somebody who believed that Manx culture was really, really important and that you should teach it to young people in particular and they should pass it on to future generations. So yeah, I think we're really lucky that people like her trod the path first.
So what is happening then to mark this significant anniversary?
Well, Bob Carswell and the Celtic Congress are organising a fantastic concert and it is on Friday in the Centenary Centre in Peel, 7:30pm, and tickets are only £7. And they've got a wonderful array. It's like a wonderful variety show. So they've got the Bunschool Gilgach, Deborah Taubman, who's going to do dialect recitation, a Manx Gaelic choir, Cúirge and Cúirge, and then award-winning harpist, Mira Royal, and the Manx bard, Annie Kissack. And we'll also have the Michael Players, who were awarded the RBV, the Ribelline of Annan, a few years ago, doing dialect plays. And that was something else that she championed. So Bob Carswell's put together a really interesting programme and it's going to be a great concert.
And there's a wonderful photograph of Sophia on the poster, and it's great to have that sort of artefact, isn't it?
Yeah, there aren't many photographs of her. She had problems with her eyes, so she really avoided having photographs taken of her. But that is a really beautiful one.
Those are all our late lunch leftovers for this week. Do tune in for the main helping on Manx Radio, weekdays just after 2pm.
Every week, of course, we'll have our regular features with Duxford Diaries. We'll have Mark Tiley's Greatest Hit, Midweek Mindfulness, and plenty more with our monthly guests as well.
But for now, thank you so much for listening to the Late Lunch Leftovers podcast. We'll see you again next time.
Abbey Dental, sponsors of Late Lunch for all aspects of today's dental care. Highly recommended throughout the Isle of Man.